intros. My name's Charlie. This is Isaac, and we're the Fireside Fellas. Today we're going to be talking about the looming government shutdown, and whether or not Democrats should follow through on what is looking like a threat to shut down the government over healthcare, over the expiration of healthcare subsidies, and over health policy. Because, you have to go back to March to really understand what's going on here.
Okay, bring us back to March.
Just with Chuck Schumer, and I'm saying that, but yeah, let's go back. So, in March, there was a battle over whether or not to extend the debt ceiling, if I remember correctly. And it was like the first point of leverage where Democrats had in the Senate had to provide Republicans with 10 votes in order to raise the debt ceiling so that Republicans could get this debt ceiling / budget deal thing past the filibuster. And Schumer at the time decided that the move was just to provide Republicans with the votes. Basically the plan was, we're going to raise the debt ceiling because it's the right thing to do, because we don't want to risk default on the national debt. And along with the debt ceiling, they passed what's called a clean CR, which is no changes to the budget. And the thought process was, this wasn't the debt ceiling. This was another budget fight. This was a budget fight. I apologize. And basically Schumer was like, we're going to provide a clean continuing resolution, which funds the government until October 1st, with no changes in spending. And it avoids a government shutdown. And Schumer's thinking was both that a government shutdown is bad, because it's bad for federal workers, and it's just kind of in general, the government can't spend any money, and the government spends money on a lot of important things. And also that he didn't want Democrats to be blamed for a government shutdown, and he thought that by shutting down the government, he would give Donald Trump a bunch of power over whether to spend money, over whether not to spend money, he thought that if the government was shut down, Trump could just fire all these workers and furlough all these federal workers. There was the big fight over Doge at the time. So he decided not to. And needless to say, people weren't happy with that decision.
They weren't?
No, there was some small amount of anger among the Democratic base. How did you judge the reaction? Do you think that's accurate?
I think that's accurate, yeah. I think that, the rise of a Newsom-esque figure points to how hungry Democrats are for their elected officials to fight back against Trump. And
for a fighter.
Faced with their first opportunity to do so in the Senate, because I think people give I see a lot of things on Twitter where it's Chuck Schumer tweeting or someone tweeting the deportations have got to stop, and then it's someone underneath being brother, you're literally a government official, what are you telling us to do this for? And that's funny and it's true, and also Democrats are out of power. They're just out of power.
Yeah, it's a Twitter dunk, but actually he can't do that. Yeah. He's minority leader in the Senate.
Finally, faced with a real moment to do a thing, to actually do a thing, he didn't do it. I think there were real, genuine voices that could make good arguments about why it made sense. I do not subscribe to that opinion personally. I think that Trump is doing and has done and did do at that time so much damage to agencies and funding anyways that it's not like it would have really changed anything. But they're doing it now.
Yeah.
It seems like they're not gonna capitulate on this one, which I like.
Yep, they're threatening it for sure. Well, what they're saying, and to echo like the Democratic Party line here, is
Yeah.
that it's actually Republicans who are risking a shutdown because um, in order to pass this continuing resolution, which funds the government, in order to fund the government, you need to get 60 votes in the Senate in order to pass, overcome the filibuster. And Democrats are saying, hey, Republicans, you don't have 60 votes in the Senate. And you are trying to get this, like, you're trying to kind of get this party budget deal through Congress, and you didn't negotiate with us about it at all. So it's actually you who's threatening the government shutdown because you need our votes, and you haven't given us anything. Um, I I'm not that sympathetic to that argument. I'm not gonna lie.
You don't think it's a good argument?
No, because I mean, basically, what Democrats are saying is that we're gonna filibuster anything that you do. So you need to, kind of, you need to work with us. Um, but I think that we need to be principled about our stance on the filibuster here, which is that it's not, it's wrong. The filibuster is stupid. The fact of the matter is that Republicans have unified control over the presidency, over the House, and over the Senate. I don't think you can be like, hey, Republicans, you need to work with us, but they control every single lever of government power. The only reason they need to work with Democrats is because of the filibuster. And I don't think the filibuster is like a good tool for Congress or for democracy or anything. And I don't think it's a good tool here either. So I'm not saying that I think that Democrats should just like go along with whatever Republicans are saying. But I also am not quite sure if that argument is going to like work politically because it relies on people going, "Oh yeah, the filibuster, that's a good thing." "Oh yeah, you need 60 votes. You need 3/5 in order to pass anything in the Senate." That makes sense. And I'm not sure people like the filibuster all that much.
Okay, so I did some research on, exactly who typically gets the blame for these shutdowns. And it's sort of interesting because, right, like, the party who's perceived as like unwilling to change their stance is the one who ends up getting blamed typically, right? So like there's the 95, 96 shutdowns where it was Gingrich's GOP versus Bill Clinton. Most Americans blamed Republicans. In 2013, over Obamacare funding, because Republicans didn't want to fund it, Republicans got blamed for the most part. 2018, 2019 shutdown, which was the longest shutdown in history, which was over the border wall funding. Polls at the time showed that Trump and Republicans got more blame than Democrats. So those are three examples of Republicans getting more blame than Democrats. However, I don't really think that we should care all that much about it because my take here is that for those of us in America who pay enough attention to know that a government shutdown is leaning, I don't think that they're gonna like fall into those it doesn't matter, like those people's votes are just what they are, like you and I know that the government's about to shut down.
I think government shutdowns are like remarkably quiet. Like
I yeah
you don't like most people don't really notice when a government shutdown is happening, when the government is shut down. And I think that most people don't really feel it. But so because of that, I'm not sure how like politically important it is for you to like avoid blame for a government shutdown.
I don't think it matters a lot. Like I think they're both parties are really positioning themselves to do so. Obviously, Republicans are like the Democrats won't do our thing, and then the Democrats are like they won't compromise, and they're both sort of positioning themselves. But I don't think it's going to matter because truthfully, what I think these shutdowns do, right, is like if you're Joe Smith from Pennsylvania and you don't really check into politics that much, you don't really understand what a government shutdown is, and you see that the government has shut down, I don't really think that you're going to be like, oh, that's the Republicans' fault. The way that I sort of understand it is that it's just going to add into the general consensus of government inefficiency and add into the general idea that both sides don't know what they're doing and
No one can
can't
compromise. There's
exactly
no
no one can
bipartisanship.
compromise. And I don't think that it's going to lead to this like big political victory for the Democrats, because anyone who's paying enough attention to know that the Republicans are refusing to compromise are going to vote for Democrats anyways. And otherwise, I don't think it's going to help the Republicans because they're the party in power and the government's falling apart under their watch. I think it generally, look, I mean, I sort of feel like this kind of arena of politics is actually pretty small in terms of like the amount of Americans who pay attention to this kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, but I think that Democrats are going to get blamed for this shutdown. I think that people are going to hear them saying, we want $1 trillion in healthcare extensions or, in healthcare funding. And people aren't going to disagree with that. People are like, people are supportive of healthcare spending. And the Republicans' cuts to Medicaid were very unpopular. But I think that what people are going to be like is like, hey, Democrats are like demanding, like $1 trillion in extra spending when they don't control any lever of power. So like they're the ones who are like not compromising and like being unreasonable and like they're the ones to blame for the shutdown. But like what we were saying, I don't think that's really going to matter. Healthcare is popular. I think that it would be a deviation from the norm in American history, even though healthcare is a very popular issue, for this to lead to some big Democratic win. I think that in the history of government shutdowns, that's responsible for the government shutdown, or the party that public opinion views as responsible for the government shutdown, usually does not get what they want policy-wise. Like they are the ones that end up having to compromise to fund the government. And in this situation, I think you could see Democrats put up a bit of a fight. They show their base that, hey, like we're here. They get blamed for the shutdown. They start to feel pressure, and they end up providing Republicans with the votes to fund the government. And they get some tiny token thing that doesn't mean anything, that they can like go to their base and say, hey, like we fought and we won. But I don't think this is going to like be a big political victory for them or a big policy victory.
No, I mean, look, I think that even Mr. Schumer, who the regular viewers of Fireside Fellas will understand I'm not the biggest fan of, even Mr. Schumer understands that, they're on the hot seat and they gotta do something, like anything.
They have to do something.
They have to do something. I'm assuming that you would agree with me on this, that the worst thing they could possibly do is threaten a shutdown, dig their heels in, and then capitulate and get nothing. Right?
Yeah, I think that's the worst thing. Yeah.
Right. So that's the worst thing.
I think you need to make a bet that people don't care.
You have to go one way or the other. You either don't do a shutdown or you go all the way.
Yeah.
And I'm not utterly confident in Apex Shakur and old man Schumer in being that strong-willed, to be completely honest with you. But let's see what they do. I like that they've chosen healthcare. I think it's smart.
Yeah.
Beyond the healthcare, they're also trying to get some things into this bill that would make it harder for Trump to like stop funding things that Congress has funded.
That's really important, actually.
That's actually quite important. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about that. I mean, I want to talk about healthcare a tiny bit more first. While I don't think that this is going to be like a big political victory, like short term for the Democrats, or lead to like some major policy concessions or anything, what it will do is it will make healthcare a more salient issue, and healthcare is a good issue for the Democrats. and it will kind of generally add to like the Democrats' vibe that like they are the party of healthcare, and like they are the party that cares about healthcare funding, and is like kind of pro pro Obamacare, like kind of all that stuff. Party that's good on healthcare, and that's a good thing. That, especially over time, especially before the 2026 midterms, I think it's good to make healthcare a bigger, a more salient issue. And it's good to be on the right side of that fight, even if, like, for this specific shutdown case, you might not win all that much.
Yeah.
But
so I'm looking at some polling here just to back up what you're saying. Just under 70% of Americans have a positive opinion about the ACA and about Obamacare.
Yeah. And
Funding
the Big
is
Beautiful
popular.
Bill, yes, it's popular. And the Big Beautiful Bill, which cuts Medicaid, is extremely unpopular. And the provisions of it that do cut Medicaid spending are super unpopular. So, like, this is a winning issue for Democrats, but it's not going to be a winning issue for Democrats because, like, they win this government shutdown battle or they get some big policy concessions. It's going to be a winning issue in, like, the kind of more, like long-term political way of, like, making healthcare a bigger issue and a more talked about issue, and showing voters that, like, they are the party that cares about healthcare.
Yes. I think that you and I have talked a lot about how if Democrats want to win, well, we have a lot of thoughts on what they should do.
Yeah.
However, the big thing that Democrats need to do if they want to win is they need to pick like 3 issues and just don't stop talking about it.
Hammer them.
Just never
Hammer them.
stop. Hammer it. I mean, like, hammer it like okay. Anyways. Just
like what?
Just hammer it. And
Hammer
healthcare should
like
be
a
one of them.
hammer and a nail.
Exactly. Hammer it like you're hammering a nail. And it's a really tough wooden wall. And dude, I have to tell you this. I don't know if I'm gonna keep this in the episode or not, but I was at dinner just now, and my sister was telling me what the 3 most under-enrolled classes are at Wesleyan.
Ooh,
And one of them is, the most under-enrolled class at Wesleyan right now is the organ class. And I was like, how is that possible?
What's
Learning
the
how to play
organ
the organ,
class?
that's incredible. Like the organ in the chapel.
Yeah.
The most under-enrolled class in the school. Do you know what it's called? Do you know what the organ class is called?
Okay, well, you bring it up now, so it's probably... Is it somehow related to fucking Obamacare?
Typing performance. Typing performance.
And that's the most under-enrolled class in this
Because
school?
it's called piping performance.
Dude, I'm sorry if I saw a class called piping performance. I'd like at least check it out. Like you gotta click on that. Like, you gotta like at least see what's going on there. No? Is it just me?
I think so. I think if it was called, hey, learn how to play organ in the chapel, I think you'd get a lot of people to do it. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. I think that Democrats need to choose 3 issues.
Yeah. And healthcare's a good
Healthcare
one.
needs to be one of them. It just needs to be one of them. Americans want healthcare.
Yeah.
I mean, my personal opinion is that, like, Democrats actually probably need to move to the left on healthcare. And I don't think, while the ACA is super popular, I think that, like, generally Americans would prefer better healthcare.
Yeah.
And also, just that has nothing to do with just the economics of, like, how economically infeasible Obamacare is, and how America just pays so much goddamn money for healthcare, even though healthcare sucks here. And I think that there's, like, bigger conversations to be had about that. But I think if we've learned anything, if anyone should have learned anything from Trump to Mamdani, is that you don't have to talk complicated about stuff. You actually make it pretty simple.
Yeah.
You say, hey, we're going to give you healthcare, and the other party's
We're
not.
on the side of healthcare. Yeah.
We're the healthcare party.
And that's what this shutdown battle is going to do. So, like, even if they get blamed for, like, a shutdown, no one's going to remember that in the midterms. No one's going to, like, go to the polls and be like, oh, like Democrats shut down the government for 2 weeks. Like
TSA
we really need,
didn't get paid for 2 weeks.
like, we need to punish them for that. Like, no one's gonna be thinking about that. No one likes TSA. I mean, you know, a lot of federal agencies are very important, and federal workers are, you know. But let's be real. There's a stigma around federal workers, and I think that if you were to go to the American people and you were to be like, hey, 800,000 people just lost their jobs and are, you know, and like are not going to get paid for a few weeks, people would be like, oh, like that's a big issue. 800,000 job losses, it's a lot of jobs. But I think when you go and you say, hey, like nearly the entire federal workforce is furloughed right now, and it's 800,000 people. I think people are going to be like, oh, like feds, the government, you know, like I think people don't take, because there's like a stigma with the federal government and with federal workers, and people don't care as much as if it were like private sector workers. People just don't. I just generally think that people don't really care about a government shutdown, and that it is worth it on the politics to shut down the government for a tiny bit. Just if you bolster your healthcare credibility. But also on the policy, the rescissions part of this is extremely important.
The what?
That's actually serious.
Restrictions on funding.
The pocket rescission issue, like the Trump administration revoking congressionally authorized spending. That's actually a very important issue policy-wise that is not going to get much political traction. But you can't agree to a budget deal until you do something about this, because
I agree.
And we can. So what's going on is, you know, Congress constitutionally has the power of the purse. They authorize spending, and the executive branch, you know, the president, is required to spend money that Congress tells the executive branch to spend. They're required to do so. You know, this was like something like Nixon during the Watergate scandal tried, like, it's called impounding money, not spending money that Congress authorizes. Tried to do a little bit of impoundment, to not spend money that he didn't agree with being spent, and I think to protect his ass during Watergate a little bit, though I could be wrong about that, but it was right around then. Maybe Watergate just like made it like a more salient issue. But then Congress explicitly said in the Impoundment Act of 1974 that the president can't do that. The president has to spend money that Congress authorizes them to spend. But that being said, what the president can do, what the executive branch can do, is they can put forward a rescission proposal. And what that does is basically you take a bunch of money to Congress and you go, hey, Congress, like, we don't want to spend this money. Can you vote to revoke this spending? And it's a 50-50. It's somehow this gets, somehow I think this avoids the filibuster. I can actually fact check myself super quickly. I think this gets around the filibuster. But what happens is the executive branch gives this request, and then the Congress has 45 days to either revoke the spending or do nothing. And if Congress does nothing in 45 days, then the funds must be spent. Right. But what the Trump administration is trying to do, and what they are doing, is they are putting these proposals, these rescission proposals, to Congress within 45 days of the congressional session ending, where basically, like, they're basically saying, hey, you know, like, Congress is going to end before the 45-day window kind of closes, and, you know, because of that, Congress never, like, like the rescission thing never expired and Congress never rejected it, and therefore we don't have to spend the money. And the courts have said this is like totally illegal. Like they've been pretty clear about this. But John Roberts, in all of his mighty wisdom and glory, is like temporarily allowing the Trump administration to do this while the legal battle plays out and gets to the Supreme Court. So what Democrats are basically saying is like, hey, why would we ever agree to a budget deal with you if you're just going to not spend the money that we agree, that like we congressional Democrats and you congressional Republicans say should be spent? Like, if you're just going to not spend that money, you're not a trustworthy negotiating partner. So they're saying that in order to agree to a budget deal, we need to come to some solution that makes it very clear that these pocket rescissions, what they're called, are not legal. And that is politically, that's not going to be a huge thing. Healthcare is the thing politically. But on policy, it makes total sense. Why would you ever agree to a deal if Trump can just be like, you know what? I don't agree. I'm just like totally going to ignore it.
No, it's a great point. And it's not going to win them any political points. I mean, I wonder if there's a way where they can say, like, I don't really think there is, to be honest, actually. I think it's a little bit too complicated of an issue.
Yeah.
But it's important, and they need to do it.
Yeah.
I think... by the way, so the way that I understand it, by the way, they're getting around it is like by changing the days from 45, but I could be wrong about that.
I think that Democrats are proposing, and I'm looking this up myself right now. Democrats have some proposals before, as a part of their budget deal, to avoid the government shutdown, that will avoid, that basically works around the rescission issue and like is a solution to the rescission issue.
Right.
Now, what that deal is, it's a little wonky. I'm pulling it up right now.
While you're pulling it up,
Mm-hmm.
I have a little game for you to play.
Oh.
Can you guess the one Democratic senator who has come out and said
In support?
that Democrats should not stop the government budget bill and should join Republicans and get nothing?
Let me take a wild guess. It's John Fetterman.
It's John Fetterman.
I mean, that's too easy. Come on.
That's
Come on, man. That's too easy. That's too easy.
Dude, what a guy.
Okay, so basically, yeah, what the Democrats are doing is, for their proposal, is they're extending the availability of these funds past September 30th, which is like when Congress ends, which basically means you get this full 45-day window for the rescission, and the Trump administration can't they can't do this pocket rescission thing, where they put forward the rescission proposal within 45 days of Congress ending, and basically saying, oh, you never rejected it, so we don't have to spend the money. Democrats are proposing to extend the window, which is a totally smart proposal. I think that also they're proposing a change to the rescission process that basically makes it so that Congress can only agree to a rescission proposal if it crosses the 60-vote threshold, not the 50-vote threshold, as is the for pretty much everything else in the Senate. It's filibuster rules. I don't agree with the filibuster. But this rescission issue, at least until hopefully it's ruled illegal in the Supreme Court, is a pretty like fundamental constitutional issue. So perhaps you need to support that proposal. It's just, Congress has the power of the purse, and
Yeah.
the executive branch should not be able to just not spend money because they don't want to. That's not how like our system of checks and balances works. But obviously, that system isn't really working all that well right now. So
Yeah, I think that one thing to just throw in here that I did read a little bit about that I don't think a lot of people are talking about is the assumption that all Democrats are going to do what Schumer says, right? Because what it's am I correct? It's 53-47.
I think actually on the initial budget votes, it was surprisingly Democratic friendly, because Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski and Rand Paul did not vote for the Republican proposal. They also didn't vote for the Democratic proposal, but they didn't vote for the Republican one.
Yeah, I guess I'm assuming that when it comes down to the real vote, and Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski and Rand Paul understand that it's the real vote and know what's going on, they're going to vote for it. Let's just assume that, for the sake of argument. Let's assume that. I don't know.
It's probably correct.
What those three are going to do, but let's assume. Democrats can afford to... Oh, and they need 60 votes, right?
For the Senate, to
pass it, they need 60 votes?
Yeah, you need 60 votes to pass the budget deal.
Okay, so they need 7 Democrats. You've got Fetterman already. You need 6 Democrats.
You got Fetterman.
I don't think it's out of the question that Schumer loses 6. I mean, I don't think it's gonna happen. Like, I'd be surprised.
Think about all the political pressure that these Democratic senators are going to be under from their base. Like, Fetterman, his brain is broken, so he doesn't really count.
Yeah.
But, generally speaking, like, after Schumer capitulated in the first budget fight, Democrats were so mad. They were so mad.
They were really mad. But they were really mad on a national scale. Like, what I wonder is if you're a senator from Virginia, I mean, I don't know, I'm just guessing, and your constituency consists of 40,000 federal workers, that's like a little different.
It's a good point.
Than the kind of national spotlight Schumer's in, where he gets a lot of pressure from everybody. You know what I mean?
That's a very good point. I mean, the 2 Democratic senators from Virginia are both very centrist, and Virginia is the home, and Maryland is also the home of a lot of federal workers, a lot. I think if you're any of those Democratic senators, to get that together 4 of the 6 that theoretically Republicans would need, in addition to Fetterman, I think you can probably make an educated gamble that even if you're blamed for a government shutdown, federal workers are still going to be like, Trump is way worse for me, with like everything that's happened with Doge and with like all of like the funding.
Many federal workers voting for Trump. I'd have a hard time with that.
Yeah, I mean,
but in midterms, Republicans aren't Trump.
True, but they're its hand and glove. I mean, there aren't Republicans who aren't Trumpies at this point.
I agree,
I think that federal workers will understand that Democrats, even if they cause this brief shutdown, still are on the side of federal workers after all this.
I think that's probably right. I just think that there are Democrats, old guard Democrats, who are just very concerned all the time about the connection between like liberalism, like literally like leftward liberalism, not like the European definition of it, and like government ineffectiveness. And
Yeah.
I think that, like, Fetterman's one of those people, even though he didn't start off that way, who, thinks that people think that Democrats can't, make the government run. If I had to guess, if Schumer says hold the line, they're going to hold the line, minus a Fetterman or two.
I think so too.
He's going to do whatever the fuck he does.
Yeah, whatever,
Yeah. But when is he going to change affiliation? When's it going to happen? I can't believe it hasn't happened yet. I'm going to make a prediction right now.
Yeah.
On Fireside Fellas, episode 4. We didn't even say this was episode 4, by the way. On episode 4 of Fireside Fellas, prediction right now. John Fetterman is going to change his party registration to Republican in the 3 to 5 months before... No, in the 1 to 4 months before the 2026 midterms. That's my take.
He's not up for election, though. You still think he's going to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
mean, if he hasn't done it by election time, he'll do it then. But I could sort of imagine him being like, yeah, fuck this. I want the Republicans to get even more seats.
Yeah.
He's fucking insane. He's like, literally...
I mean, the like internal reports from like his staff and stuff about like his behavior and his driving. Apparently, none of them will get in a car with him. It's like kind of scary stuff. Like he's like a really unstable dude. But
yeah,
I mean, poor guy. Like it's not. I mean, he had a stroke. It's like not totally his fault, but it's definitely a little terrifying. Okay, now the last thing for us to talk about.
Okay.
Could this government shutdown fight mean the end of the filibuster?
I think it will.
You think that's how this resolves?
I mean, Trump's going to want to end the filibuster. He's going to ask for it. I think he's going to ask for it. He doesn't like the filibuster.
I kind of agree. A Republican, Democrats are not going to get 10 votes for their bill, even if they water it down, even if they negotiate. And it's really difficult for me to imagine Democrats capitulating after the political horror show for Chuck Schumer, that his fucking life, his political life is on the line in this.
Yeah.
His entire political future is on the line.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to imagine them compromising all that easily without getting something in return. And I don't think Republicans are going to want to give one singular teeny tiny inch.
I don't think they're going to do anything. And I think, in particular, the Trump admin does not want budget constraints. I do not think they want it. I don't think they're going to allow it to happen.
They're not going to want this deal on recessions. They're not going to want it. They want total control of the purse. And any budget deal with Democrats that Republicans make, they're going to have to make a deal. They're going to have to do it.
Yeah, I actually think they're much more likely to concede on healthcare, because at the end of the day, if they do concede on it, then they're just going to say it was their idea, and that they aren't going to say, hey, we extended your healthcare. And they're probably going to, on some level, sort of get away with that. But I don't think they're going to concede on this. And I don't think Democrats should either. I think it is likely. Look, Senator John Thune, who is the majority leader, came into his position saying that he really respects the rules of the Senate and that he doesn't think any of those things should change. Since then, he has removed the filibuster from confirmation processes and has not really made anything clear about his willingness to keep the Senate rules the way they are. Do I think he's going to enjoy it? I don't know him personally, but based off of what I know about him, do I think Senator John Thune himself wants to remove the filibuster? No, I actually think he probably wants to keep it. Because I think he understands the danger of no filibuster if and when Democrats
For
retain
conservatism.
power.
You
For
know, in
conservatism.
like the literal small c conservatism definition of we don't want things to change.
Yeah,
You know?
it's gonna really change that.
Yeah.
And that being said, I don't think Trump really cares about small C conservatism at all. He's not a
No.
small C conservative. He's a pretty
No.
big fucking spender, kind of the biggest. And so I don't think he's gonna care. I think he is someone who hates it when stupid little gimmicks get in his political way. Little government gimmicks. I mean, this is the sort of core concept of like why he finds things like Doge positive, because I don't think he likes all of the
Doesn't want
belts and
roadblocks.
bustles of government. No. And so I think he's absolutely going to try to get rid of the filibuster. I think I'm to be honest with you, I'm surprised he hasn't said it already. I think he's going to, and if they do, it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. It's a really big deal.
It's a big deal. I mean, do I understand correctly that you're very pro filibuster?
No, very anti-filibuster.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Very pro getting rid of the filibuster. But that being said, like, while I don't think the filibuster should exist, and I want to see it gone, you know, it would probably be pretty bad for there to be no filibuster for the last 2 years of Trump's term, the last 3 years of Trump's term. It'd be pretty bad.
Well, in particular, I mean, assuming Democrats retake one of the things,
Yes.
and it is currently looking like, I just want to House 2026 odds. I just want to check this while I'm saying this. I'm fairly confident. Yeah, okay. Around a 70% chance that Democrats retake control of the House, right?
According to the betting markets.
According to the election betting markets. And, you know, while you can't say that's everything, it's a lot of things. And I think that after then, if there's no filibuster, okay. You know,
Fine.
you can just hold the line. Until then, some pretty bad shit could happen.
They would pass some crazy shit. Some crazy shit. But, like, how does this get resolved without the abolition of the filibuster? Maybe congressional Republicans finally kind of look inward and they go, hey, we don't want our branch of government to mean absolutely fucking nothing. So we will agree to a clean budget bill, no changes in spending, and we will agree to these provisions that will prevent the White House from choosing not to spend money that they don't want to spend, therefore maintaining Congress's power of the purse. You know, there are definitely some Republicans who would like to see this rescissions deal go through just because they believe in the institution. But you look at this from Trump's perspective, he doesn't want that. And he has said he doesn't want to negotiate on a deal. He wants the Republican bill. And
he's the Don right now.
And, you know, if he refuses to allow Republicans to negotiate and Democrats aren't going to agree to a budget deal without these rescission things or without healthcare provisions, you know, that kind of leaves, okay, how do you get a deal done? Well, you make it so that you only need 50 votes. That's interesting. You know, it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is a bad scenario.
Okay.
Republicans agree to the Democrats' healthcare spending measures, or some of them, claim them as their own, and then don't agree to the rescissions deal. So then Republicans put forward a bill that adds spending to healthcare, and Democrats vote against it. Ooh, that'd be bad. Ooh, if John Thune is a dog, that's what he does.
I don't
no one cares
think
about
Democrats vote
rescissions.
against it. I don't see Schumer voting against that. I think he's going to take literally anything and be like, all right, great.
Yeah, also you probably have to vote for it.
You can't
You just
vote
kinda,
against it. I
you
mean,
can't vote
God,
against it.
God,
You
let's
just
hope
get
John
you'd
Thune
look you
doesn't
just
watch
like get
this.
out. You just kind of get out. That's just getting outmaneuvered. Like,
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of back to this. Okay, I think we're in the conclusion of the episode right now, but
yes,
I think that a large theme of the Trump admin has been like, okay, when a Democrat is back in power, they're gonna have a lot more power. um,
yeah,
and if I mean, I think it depends who Democrats elect. Like, if Democrats elect Joe Biden again, then he's going to be like, no, let's put the restrictions back on, and then whatever. But if Democrats elect a dog, then I mean, it doesn't even really have to be a dog. Like, I think even if Democrats elect
yeah.
Gavin Newsom, for the record, don't think he's going to win. But
He's
let's
kind of
just say
doggish, kind of doggish.
he's a little bit of a pit bull. Like, I think he'd be
Yeah,
like, no, you know what, boots off, like boots off, gloves off. Like, let's do this. Um, if I mean, let's just consider, like, for a moment.
but we
Like,
don't
when
really
Biden,
want that. Like, we don't really want that. We don't want we don't want blue MAGA. You know.
well, hold on. I don't.
I don't.
Why?
I
I don't.
don't.
Well, if you call it blue MAGA, then no, I don't want blue MAGA. I don't give a fuck
Okay,
about
well,
blue
that's-
on, bro. But what I do want is, but what I do want is Democrats to pass cool shit. And
Yes.
if you'll remember, uh, Democrats under Biden, had 50 votes for a lot of really cool things that
Yes.
couldn't get done.
Oh, you're
A
talking
lot
about
of really
the
cool things that do a
filibuster.
lot. Yeah.
I thought you were talking about like more expansive, like presidential power. I think
No,
the president
that
just
I'm
has
not.
the president has too much power, and Congress doesn't have enough power right now.
No, the president.
I would
has
love
had too
to
much
see
power
the
for last
filibuster
12
gone.
years.
Yeah,
No,
I would love
I
to
want
see
to
the
see the filibuster
filibuster
gone.
gone. Yeah,
I think it's a. I think it's. Look, do I not like the idea of the filibuster being gone if Republicans have control of everything? Yes, I don't like that idea.
It'd be a bad
However,
year. We'd have a bad year.
I also think that, like, Democrats can't do anything because, to be completely honest with you, the Senate is structured in a way where it is nearly impossible for Democrats to ever get 60 votes in the first
Yeah.
place. Democrats could have 60% of the nation's approval, and Republicans could have 40%, and Democrats still aren't going to have 60 votes because the Senate
Yeah.
works in a way where it's 2 senators per state. It is specifically
Yeah.
designed for Republicans to have an edge. I mean, that's just what it is. Like,
Yeah.
there's a reason that, like, people who think about how can we make the government efficient and better and more powerful and stronger for the people propose abolishing the Senate because it just is not representative or
Well,
even,
it's just not.
even
It's
that
just not
democratic.
It's not democratic. It's just not democratic. Yeah,
It's
I mean,
not.
yeah. Just it gives small population states, which tend to be more rural, which tend to be more Republican, way more power over big states, California, New York, or Texas. Like some red states too. So,
Right, so
yeah, I
Democrats can
mean,
never pass
unless
anything.
Democrats totally change and they become like a party that appeals to like rural voters, then they will never win. They will never get 60 votes. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea for the filibuster to be. I think it's a very. I also just think, like, on principle, it's a very good idea for the filibuster to be gone. But good God, would we have an ugly year of policymaking if that is in fact the path that Republicans choose?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a part of me hopes they choose it, but just not right now. Like, a part of me
Yeah.
hopes they choose it, like, in October.
In another like 5 months.
2026.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, let's get
I don't
one
know, like-
really bad month. Like,
Yeah, I mean, maybe we could, if in fact they do eliminate the filibuster, which it's probably less likely than it is more likely, but if they do, maybe we'll have a little follow-up episode to this and, examine the implications.
yeah.
But I don't know. It's interesting stuff. We got 10 days until a government shutdown. So everyone strap in. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. I think it's probably going to happen.
Yeah, me too.
Probably gonna happen.
Yeah.
All right. y'all, thanks for
Thanks so much for tuning in.
subscribe, Spotify, YouTube, really anywhere you listen, because we're everywhere. Instagram, the After a Pod. TikTok, the After a Pod.
Yep.
YouTube Shorts have started to come out.
Hey, yo.
I know, we're everywhere. We're everywhere. It's too easy. And I think I know what I would love to talk to you about, actually, on our next episode. I don't know what you think about this, but there's been a lot of reporting that AOC's team is positioning her for a 2028 presidential run, or possibly a 2026 Senate run. But apparently she's currently in the middle of deciding between the two. And I would love to hear which one you think she should run for.
Let's help her decide.
Let's give her some ideas.
Because we're just like that influential.
Yeah, exactly. Let's
Our
help
voices are
Ms.
so
Cortez
important.
figure it out.
Yeah.
All right. See y'all in episode 5.
All right. Peace out, y'all.